Hi, Matt here from Sam Christensen Studios here in Atlanta, Georgia, and today I'd like to talk briefly to the actors in the audience. How many of you have been at a Q&A with casting directors and heard the question or asked the question yourself, hey, how can I stand out? How can I make bold choices? How can I get an edge in my auditions? And there's really never a good answer from the casting director. It never satisfies you. It never feels like you walk away with the actual answer on how to stand out. So I want to address that question from a different standpoint. Let's imagine that you have been narrowed down in the callback phase to you and maybe 9 other actors for a role in a TV show or a film. Whether that's in person or on tape is sort of irrelevant for our discussion. Now, all 10 of you are going to have at least the same minimum level of talent and craft that will allow you to fulfill the duties of that role. The casting director would never let you get to that phase in the process if they didn't believe that you could handle this role. Now, also, likely, depending on the role, you will look like all other 9 actors that have been called back. You'll be the same ethnicity, the same age range, and the same general look, because that was chosen at the first phase when they selected your headshot. So all 10 of you look the role. All 10 of you can handle the role in terms of your craft. So what is it that is actually going to give that person the edge who ends up booking? That's what we're interested in exploring. Because you could argue that things like, oh, well, I look too much like the director's ex-husband. That's why I didn't book it. Or I look too much like the lead in that show. So there's no way I was going to book that. Sure, those factors can come into play, but those are things out of your control. What we want to explore is there a factor within your control that will give you that edge? That'll make you stand out, they'll perceive you as making bold choices, and at the very least, you'll be remembered by everyone in that room or everyone who watches your tape, such that even if you don't book this one, they are jonesing to bring you back for the next episode or the next project. So again, we think here at Sam Christensen Studios that there is a resounding yes to the answer to that question of, is there something within my control that can give me that edge? Now let me sort of attack this from a different angle. You're at the callback or you're just in person with a casting director, and whoever is in charge, whether it's the casting director or if the director's in the room, they say to you, that was great, Matthew. Do it again and just be yourself. And you're thinking, I thought I was being myself, but okay. So then you walk into that next take being very much in your head, not understanding what it is that they actually perceived that wasn't yourself. And so you just kind of stumble through the next one, hoping that at least it's slightly different and maybe you satisfied their redirect. What is that? What are they actually saying when they say just be yourself? Here's what we think they're actually saying. Be the version of you that I perceive you to be. Let that sink in. Be the version of you that I perceive you to be. We feel that there's a disconnect. What you perceive to be true about yourself, what your identity is of course true. I can't argue with how you perceive yourself. However, the way the rest of the world views you might not line up fully with how you view yourself. In fact, it is our charge that there's always going to be this disconnect to some degree. Now, the amount of that overlap or disconnect it varies based on who you are and what stage of life you're in. But that's what we're interested in exploring, because if there is a disconnect, then that's what the gap is in that room. When they're saying just be yourself, they're perceiving something about you that if they were actually able to articulate it, because oftentimes they don't know how to articulate it, if they could, you would be sometimes really surprised by the thing that they're actually perceiving about you. Sometimes you would understand it and you would think, oh, I didn't realize you could actually perceive that about who I am. Either way, if you could speak that unspoken language with them, then it would make your auditions, your callbacks, everything so much easier. And that's what we want to explore in our 4-day intensive. So we invite you to come to one of our free previews, either in person here in Atlanta. Sometimes we do them over Zoom. And then eventually, when it's right for you, we hope that you'll take the plunge and do the 4-day intensive with us. When you walk away, you'll be able to take better headshots than you've ever taken. You'll feel much more confident in those in-person situations. You'll have a sense of empowerment over your marketing materials in a way that you never understood before. So we invite you to learn more, head to our website, or even just email us any questions that you have. And we hope to see you soon so that you can just be yourself. Thanks.